Hey guys, welcome to Prairie Pioneer Schoolhouse. I hope you guys are all doing very well. My name is Rhiannon. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by. I had a subscriber ask me to do a video about budgeting and I thought it was a great idea. So I'm here today after many attempts to do this video. I couldn't quite figure out how in which to bring you the idea of budgeting, because I could come from lots of different angles. I could come from kind of like how we came about to where we've gotten to the budget we have now. I came from maybe doing it like on the vocation of marriage and how budgeting is part of that. And finally I was like, you know what, just do it. It's about budgeting. You don't need any backstory. You don't need anything else. That's hard for me to just like do one subject, you know? So anyway, so I sat down and I made a list of like kind of what we do and how we budget. And that kind of gave me a good feel about what to say to you guys today and to hopefully be like a blessing to you guys and to be helpful. So I do have to say that when we first were married, we were married very young. We were married when I was 18 and he was 19, and we didn't know anything about budgeting really. And then he went right into the military and he learned a lot more about like budgeting and organizing your life and all that kind of stuff. I still knew very little. I also had like a ton of like emotional issues and like things that I was working through personally in my life. And I think that when we have that and we are not like, we don't know either how to get the help we need or we don't know how to work through it, sometimes we turn to spending a lot of money or doing things trying to fill our time up. And that is no good. It's not gonna help you at all. And all you're gonna do is just like accumulate debt or just spend all your hard-earned money. So in the early days, I had a job that brought about $1,400 a month, like a month home, and we called it our fun money. And so we went out all the time, we went to movies, did all this kind of stuff and just spent that money on fun money. We look back now, we're like, man, if we had known better, we could have like budgeted that out, we could have saved, would have made it a lot easier for the years to come. But you know, you live and you learn, and that's just what it was. So as the years progressed, and when I became Catholic and when my husband came to the fullness of the Catholic Church and we started reading all these beautiful encyclicals and apostolic letters from the popes, and we started reading about the lives of the saints and our catechism, and we really learned like so much about our faith and what it meant to be, you know, human beings and to live fully the way that the Lord intends us to. That's when things really turned around for us. We started to pay off our debt. We started to be very particular about how we spent our money. We still weren't budgeting yet, but we were trying to figure it all out. And because we were young, we really like had to do so much of it all on our own. You know, we had to just figure it out. So as the years went on, we started to learn basic things. The first thing that I remember we really learned when we bought, not our first home, but like our home after, you know, this whole process and change, was that you should spend about 30% of what you're bringing home on your home. Okay, so what we would do is we would take whatever it is my husband made, because he's had different jobs. He's worked for the Catholic Church and we've moved around a bit, and now we're pretty much staying in one place for a while, and that feels really good. But anyway, we would take the income that he had, we would take away taxes, and we would take away whatever was going to come out of his paycheck for insurance. So we would go ahead and remove all of those things, and then from that amount left over, then we would take 30% of it and say, okay, this is our budget for our home. That's what we would do. Now, at the beginning, it was hard because he made less money, but we didn't have so many children. Now he makes more money because he's been doing this for a while and everything. But we have a bigger family. We're also very home-centered people since we're homeschoolers, and our home is like really a big deal for our everyday lives. So we kind of upped it to 35%, and it's perfect. So the house that we have is 35% of what he takes home. It's perfect for us because it's very big and there's room to grow. We have a basement that we're gonna be finishing. So if we have more children, or even as our kids that we do have now get older and taller and bigger, we're gonna have 4 boys, and they're probably gonna all be pretty big. And so they're gonna need that room. We have our one daughter, and she's gonna need her room, you know what I'm saying? She's like, okay, boys, you go over there. But anyway, so yeah, so 35%, that's where we have always started from, was our home. Another thing is then we go to utilities, okay? And we budget out what are utilities gonna look like. We never do the payment a year where like a payment plan, we never do that. We pay exactly what's owed, what's due that month, because we have found that sometimes there's discrepancies. Sometimes you don't really know what's I guess for us, it's just always been, we just wanted to pay what we owed. That was important to us. And we like to know when the bill comes in, and we like to have the ability to pay it. We don't have it just coming out of our account. So first is home and then utilities. So what we've done is whenever we've gotten ready for a new job or a new place to go, we sit down and we say, how much are you gonna be making? How much will be taken out by taxes? How much will come out for insurance, for health insurance? And that's just kind of what we have done. My husband hasn't had too many different jobs, but we've also, like when he was in the military and then he went to school, we lived on a stipend. So we've just had like a lot of different experiences of saying, okay, like now we have a new budget to live with, like how are we gonna do this? And in the early years, we just didn't really know how to do it. So we had to just sort of look at whatever bills we had right in front of us and figure out. And then we got a little smarter over time and we said, okay, so let's look at the area we're going to be living in. Let's see what the average house cost is. And we got a little bit more thorough about how and which to go about budgeting for things. So I'm gonna flip the camera over and show you a very like crude, like just like simple list. But this is the list that I have written out that I work off of. Okay, so here we go. So in the state we live in, taxes are very high, so a lot comes out of our paycheck. Then we have our insurance for health insurance. We have our home, like the actual mortgage. And then our utilities are going to be bills like water, electricity, gas, food. I include groceries, restaurant fees, if we're going to grab pizza one night, if we're going to get Subway after Mass on Sundays, all of that's included in our food budget. Then we have gas for the car. I have a home budget for our home needs, like if we need to get cleaning supplies or new curtains or things like that. I have a homeschooling budget. We have our debt to pay on for student loans, and we have one credit card. We really don't have a ton of debt on that credit card. We just have a little bit. We want to go and work on paying it. We also have a budget for our phones. We also have Netflix and Hulu, so we make sure we pay that. My husband has a card just for work, so if he has to pay for something and then it's reimbursed, so that's separate. It's not part of our account. And then I have a PayPal that I use for homeschool turnover, meaning like if I bought something in our homeschool time, we have our big budget, and then end up selling it. I sell it, keep the money in PayPal, and then I can just reuse it. It doesn't even go into our regular bank account. Then we have our life insurance with Knights of Columbus, and 2 times a year we buy clothing for our kids depending on who's needing it and depending on the season and things like that. What I said before was down here we have 35% goes to our home and 20% roughly is for food. And then I have the budget for homeschooling $100 a month and for home $100 a month. I do want to say that there was many years I went through not having a budget for homeschool monthly and definitely not having a budget for our home monthly. And that is okay. That's not a necessity, but I do think that's important to have, even if it's a small budget for those two things, like even if it's like $10 a month or even $5, just something that you know for that month you can spend towards one of those things. It sounds silly. I mean, $5 is like really low, but I mean, there have been times where there are times where people just don't have the money, but knowing that a little bit goes to this or a little bit goes to that. Like I remember early years going to like the Dollar Tree to buy cleaning supplies because we just didn't have a lot of money. And it was like I could get a couple of things and they were $1 a piece and that would last me. And that was, if you added up that, you could probably say $5. That was my cleaning supplies for the month. So and then for homeschooling, I can very well remember times where I went down to like Walmart and got the 88-cent notebooks and got, 3 of them for when I had like 3 that were just doing the school, or really just 2. And that right there was $2. So you just kind of, even if you don't have a big budget to work with, make just a little bit each month for those specific things. And that will just, I think that's helpful. But now we're at a place where we're making it more of a priority because we're homeschooling more kids. And I don't always need to spend that money that's there, but it's there if I need it. The same for our home. Like this month, I made a video about it, about a day in the life. And I talked about how we got a new bedding set for our preschooler. And so I was able to take that money from the home budget. And so I know, I have a certain amount left this month. If I need it, it's there. But that's it. I mean, if I really want to buy curtains and I really want to buy rugs for the rooms, or I really want to buy new dishware, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. I can't be like, let's just do it all in 1 month. I mean, I wouldn't do that. But I mean, in the early days I might have, because I might have been like, well, I want all of it. Well, okay, but that's kind of immature to be like, I want all of it. And I want it right now. So, I mean, as I got older and as I've gotten so mature, I've just learned that, you can't always have exactly what you want. And sometimes you have to wait. And if you wait, you're going to be more appreciative for those things. And I tell you one thing, it feels so good to pay something off. Like you go in a store with money in hand and you buy it. You're not putting on a credit card, because there's nothing worse than, I think, buying something on a credit card. And like, let's say I bought beautiful new love seat, okay? And it was $200. Now I could buy it right now with a credit card, or I could wait for 2 months and save up $100 this month, $100 next month, and then go and buy it outright, okay? I own it free and clear. But if I buy it right now with my credit card and one of my kids, if they spill something on that thing, there's just something about it mentally like, I stole so much money on that thing, don't ruin it. Whereas if I own it, it's like, oh, bummer, let's just clean it off. Let's clean it up, but we own it. So we learned like years ago, we just do not use credit for like everyday things. The only time we use credit is like if it's an emergency, or if we know that like maybe like we spend it on the credit card, but we know we can just pay it right off the next month, or things like that. Or maybe like pay it off slowly, but it's something we really have to get, like an emergency, or like a tire blows out or something like that. So anyway, so the list that I showed you is really our basic list. And like I said, we don't have car payments. And I know that's a big one for a lot of people. And also having student loans, like a huge amount of student loans. I have friends who they both are at like 100,000 each. And the wife stays home, and they have one income of like, 30,000 a month, 30,000 a year. And they have basically a mortgage and then another mortgage kind of for both their student loans. So I know it can be really challenging. But I just feel like if you make a budget and you try to really, work. Hi, buddy. He's so tired. He wouldn't take a nap earlier when he was supposed to. And so now he's just like, I'm exhausted. Anyway, he's going to hang out with us. So I find that if I write everything out that we're going to need, and I just focus in on like using the money that's allotted for that thing, I have so much peace of mind. I'm not stressing like, where's our money going? How much are we going to have at the end of the month? No. Like we know exactly where our money is. We know exactly what we're spending. I think that that's like a very peaceful thing. And we have not, what was I going to say? Oh, and I was going to also say about food. This is a big one. This is one that I've recently learned. So with food, I used to have a grocery budget, okay? And that was like a certain amount a month I spent on groceries. I spent on toiletries, things at the grocery store. And then we'd want to go out and have like a dinner or something. And we were like, well, I don't know how much money we have left. And, what if we go twice this month? So what I said, no more. I said, okay, we have this amount of money. It's about 20% of what we make. And it goes to food. That includes groceries, toiletries, diapers. It goes to if we're going to go out to a restaurant, if we're going to get a meal after mass, if we're going to anything that relates to food or toiletries and diapers, all goes into one amount. And it makes me a lot more cautious how I spend my money. So like this month, we're going to get a quarter cow. So what we did was for this month and next month, we just took, I'm just going to say 400. I don't think that's right, but just for being even's sake, let's say it's $400 for a quarter cow. Then I would take 200 out this month's food budget and 200 next month. So I'll have 200 less to work with, but I'm not going to be buying meat because it's going to be in my house already. So I'm not going to be buying it at the store. And then in 2 months from now, we won't buy another quarter cow probably for, I think it takes about 4 months, maybe 5. So then there'll be 2 months I'll have where my budget goes back up again that $200, and I can use that for other things. And one thing is really nice, if you are near a big store, whether those like Sam's or Costco's, I would definitely join. And I got this at Sam's, they had like a thing where you could join for $40 or one you could join for like $100. But $100 you get points back constantly, and you get these like cards back. It's like every time you spend $100, don't quote me, but every time you spend a certain amount, you get like a card back with like $10 on it, like a gift card. By the end of the year, you've paid back your your buy-in or whatever. I cannot think of any words today. And then so basically you're paying yourself back for that, and you can really stock up there. I mean, we don't have an Aldi's anymore where we live, but I have taken like food from Sam's and broken it down to like like the item size. So let's say like the box comes with 12 bars in it. I'll go down and I'll figure out how much one bar is worth, and then I compare it to an Aldi's store, like what that one bar is. And Sam's is about the exact same, almost the exact same as Aldi's on a lot of things. So since we don't have an Aldi's, Sam's is totally worth it for us. You know, I get the $100, I sign up for $100, and then every time I spend a certain amount, I get that $10 back. By the end of the year, I've made back my $100, sign up again. I'm getting stuff at a great price, cheaper than Walmart if you go down to, you know, the item size. So I just think it's really worth it. And also they have really nice diapers, like from the Sam's company. I think it's called Members something. It's like their company, their generic company. I love their diapers, and you get like a good amount, and they're almost like either the same price as Walmart or less. But I'm not going to the store over and over again to get those items. I've gotten them one time a month. So that's another thing I would suggest. Also, I'm looking at my list to see. Don't forget about those small things like Netflix and Hulu, because you don't want to forget about that. You want to budget it in as well. And then for us, for gas for the car, my husband does a lot of traveling. Not a lot of traveling, but he's starting to do more and more since he works for a diocese. So he travels around to meet with different, churches and to meet with different pastors and priests and stuff. So so he needs more for the gas up front at the beginning of the month. And I don't really need any. I like don't hardly go anywhere. I go to the store every now and then. We'll go to a play date that's like kind of far to go meet with like some Catholic friends or something that maybe aren't really close, but like close in proximity. But it's like once a month. So so yeah, and then the 2 times a year for kids clothing. So what that's about is that when we were living in Florida, we were younger, and we were living in Texas, it was warm pretty much all year long, so you really didn't have to go and get new clothes like per season. Just get a sweater in the winter time, and then just kind of like watch the pants level. Like, is it getting too short? Get them a new pair of pants. But I have found when you live in places like Ohio or in the Midwest where we are right now, they have to be prepared. They need to have like snow clothes, you know what I mean? And then you need to pack that stuff away. And then so we have 4 boys, and so clothes can transfer down. But sometimes, in one season when one child would be in shorts, when those clothes finally pass down to the next one, it's winter. So sometimes I just keep clothes and I pass it down when I can. But I found that in the fall, we go out and we spend just a couple hundred, not a whole bunch, and make sure that everyone has everything they need. New shoes, socks, underwear. Make sure they have whatever clothing they need for that season. If they're going to be needing bathing suits, and we just do it then. So there's no like, oh, last minute, oh, what do we need? No, they got it for the season. They're good. And then for the boys, we just save pretty much everything we buy. For our daughter, we'll keep it for a while, and then we usually either give it to like someone else who has a little girl, or we just give it to Goodwill. I'm kind of thinking about maybe for her, maybe I could try to sell some stuff on Craigslist if like we have pretty dresses and stuff and she's grown out of them, but it just seems like a lot of extra work. So I don't know, maybe if you guys have done that, you can leave something in the comments to let me know if it's not so bad. And then another thing is we do life insurance. I think it's a really good idea to have life insurance. If you're Catholic, you might want to do the Knights of Columbus. They have a really cool history of how they began. Anyway, but it is nice because like in our situation, if anything, oh, God forbid, if anything happened to my husband, we would just be devastated. We just love him so much. But like practically speaking, we would be in trouble because I would be a single mom with 5 kids. We homeschool. What would we do? How would I, you know what I mean? So life insurance is a good idea. And it's also good for the wife to have life insurance. I know sometimes people are like, well, if you're a homemaker, you don't bring anything in. Yeah, but if you pass away, like, don't you want your children to have a time period like where maybe like, anyway, if they're homeschooled, their life is going to change. They're going to all probably have to go to school, and you're going to have to get, a babysitter. You're going to have to get this or that. I mean, wouldn't you want your husband to have money to pay off the house, to make it a little easier so he's not working so much so he can spend more time with kids? You know what I mean? It's like life insurance is a smart thing to have. So, so we have that. So I think I've gone through everything. The last thing is what we do is we look at our budget. So yeah, so we look at our whole budget, pay everything out, then we look at what we have at the end of the month. There have been times in our lives where we've had like nothing left over. But then there are times where you do. And if you do, you really want to have a cushion, if you can. You want to put some in savings, if you can. And a big thing is you want to pay off the debt as fast as you can. There is no point at keeping all that debt there. If you have money at the end of the month and you can put a portion of it away to debt, it is such a good time to do that. You probably are all thinking like, excuse me, lady, you've left out a super important part, tithing. That's right. We do tithe. A big part of it is that we put a check in the basket every week. So we do it weekly. We know that we take the amount we want to tithe, we divide it by 4, make a check out, and put it in each Sunday of the month in the basket. We also keep a couple of dollars, so because our priest is so sweet, at that time he brings a basket, he walks out into the front where other people are, and all the little kids can come and put like dollars in and stuff. And so yeah, I probably should have said tithing first, but I got so into like the budgeting and the money and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I hope this video is kind of helpful. It's probably like really obvious on most things, but it's just good to write it out. It's just good to write it out, to know where your money's going. And if you're like, oh no, we're already living somewhere and we didn't budget it out and our home is so expensive, we have all this car payment, we have all this stuff, how am I gonna do this? Just breathe, pray, know that it's gonna be okay, and just sit down and start with, all you have to do right now is just sit down and write out all your expenses. And the ones that you don't know, you can just kind of figure out, you know, like roughly what we spend. I would start taking receipts home from grocery. Every time you go to the store, let's say you go to Walmart, every time you go to Walmart, get a receipt, put it in an envelope with the monthly name, like let's say August or whatever, put it all inside. At the end of the month, take it out and add all of it up. You will be like, oh my goodness, I'm spending way too much and making quick runs to the store. It is a big saver when you go to Sam's and you buy groceries you need for 2 weeks and then you don't go to the store. I mean, people might be like, that's crazy, you need to go get produce. Okay, well then go with like $20 in your hand and get your carton of milk, get your bag of apples, get a fresh thing of lettuce, and get, I don't know, like a pack of cookies for kids who want that or whatever, and then leave, you know what I mean? Because it is so easy to just make all these quick things and like, you know, and you think, oh, I'm not spending so much, but when you sit down and you add it up, you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, we could be saving so much. So I would just, if you're in a place where you don't know where any of your money is and you're feeling really stressed out, I would sit down and I would write down all your expenses, especially if you're a mom who, let's say you really want to leave your job, you want to stay home. That can be a really scary thing. I've talked to a lot of moms who are just like, I don't think I can do that. And I think that if you have to decide what's really important to you, if you really want to be home with your kids, and if you don't, that's fine too. I'm not saying you should be. I'm just saying if you do and you really want to, and that's something that you and your husband want to work towards, or maybe you're the only one, your husband's like, what? I want you to work. Well, you want to honor him. I mean, he is, you know, the head of your home. But at the same time, I have found it's a good idea as a wife, if you want to bring something to your husband, an idea to him, you need to have it all worked out and you want to offer him the end plan. You know, maybe he's someone who does better with talking things out, then that's fantastic, but it would still be great for you to have an idea in mind and an end plan to show him, to be like, this is what I'm thinking. And so it'd be a good idea to write down everything, all your expenses, everything that's going everywhere, get a good idea, and do this together. I'm not saying you have to like do this in secret so you can like bring him a plan. No, do this together if you want. But if you just don't have the type of relationship where like you guys talk about money and you feel like maybe he would be like, no way, if you wanted to stay home, it might be a good idea, even for your mental, you know, sanity, to still sit down, figure out where all the money's going, create a budget, see how much of your money goes to daycare, how much of your money that you bring home goes to fund money, how much of your, and then you can really see maybe it is so possible for you to stay home and you didn't realize how much of your money was just going to stuff that could easily be taken out. I'm gonna go and finish this up because my kids are asking me for lots of things and I don't want to keep telling them no. I want to be with them. So I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe, please press subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great day. God bless.